Middle East, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton visiting Israel, holding talks with leaders of our top ally in that part of the world. The meetings focus on the violence in Syria and Iran's nuclear program. Mrs. Clinton also reassuring Israel of continued U.S. support. Leland Vittert is keeping an eye on that. He's live in Jerusalem for us right now. Leland.
John, there's certainly a lot going on in the Middle East between Syria, the Egyptian elections, of course, the nuclear crisis with Iran. So the Israelis are nervous, to say the least. Mrs. Clinton came in, reassured the Israelis of not only the U.S. support, but also that the U.S. was going to try to play an active role in helping Israel over the next couple of months. The other thing she was pressing Israeli leaders on, particularly Israeli President Shimon Peres and also Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, is the Middle East peace process with the Palestinians. There have really been no meaningful negotiations or movement on that in about the past year, and the United States is trying to play a key role in getting that moving once again, with Israel and the Palestinians speaking once again. The other big issue looming here is the go-no-go decision on the possibility of an attack on Iran by Israel. Obviously, the United States is trying to ask Israel to continue to hold off, though there's not really been any concrete statements by either side about that today. It's important to note where Mrs. Clinton came from, which was Egypt, where the Muslim Brotherhood president has just taken over, Mohammed Morsi, who she met with. And Mrs. Clinton did not exactly get a great reception there in Egypt. We have some video to show you from Alexandria, one of the towns she visited. There were people throwing shoes at her, throwing tomatoes at her convoy, telling her, quote, "Go home, Clinton," was one of the other chants. And the other chant, "Monica, Monica, Monica," of course, in reference to the Monica Lewinsky scandal. This shows you just how divided Egypt right now is and the level of anti-Americanism there. They were burning American flags in the streets when Mrs. Clinton came to Egypt, and that's going to make it much harder for the United States to try and get concessions or help for Israel or for U.S. interests over the coming months from Mohammed Morsi, the president there. Even if, as a Muslim Brotherhood member, he wanted to give the United States some concessions, the political climate right now in Egypt, it certainly is evidenced by that video, and those burning American flags has changed a great deal over the past couple of years. John, back to you.
This from a country that receives all kinds of American foreign aid. Interesting developments there. Thanks very much, Leland Vittert.